I think most of us understand that our ears play a pretty important role when it comes to singing. But how many of us really take care of our ears and our hearing? Let's look at the causes of hearing loss and how you and I might be better able to protect what are arguably the second most important organs in a singer's body.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
G'day, my name is Dr. Dan and I'm a contemporary singing voice specialist. Welcome to Voice Essentials, the channel where everybody sings. I wonder whether you've stopped to consider just how important your hearing is. As one of our 5 primary senses, hearing is used for many things, including balance and alerting us to hazards. It also plays a vital role in our singing, but how many of us unwittingly subject our ears to unhealthy sound levels, causing slow but sure damage to our hearing? Now, I'll put my hand up and say that I have some hearing loss in my upper mid frequencies, all because my ears were subject to some pretty unruly dB levels during my late teens and early 20s. But I don't want this to be your unfortunate future, so let's take a couple of moments to discuss what causes hearing loss, the different types of hearing loss, a brief overview, very brief overview of the ear's physiology, and then I'll finish with some suggestions to help you protect your ears. Now, in this video, we will be focusing on non-congenital hearing loss. If you suspect your hearing loss is due to congenital factors such as age-induced impairment, I highly recommend seeing an audiologist for a full auditory assessment. Actually, I think all musicians and singers, especially those who have been performing for longer than a decade, will definitely benefit from a clinical examination. This physical checkup should include an audiogram designed to identify areas of auditory weakness. If hearing loss is detected by your audiologist, it will be generally categorized into one of 5 types: conductive, sensorineural, central, functional, or mixed. Now, conductive hearing loss typically applies to the impairment of the outer and middle ear structures. Sensorineural hearing loss refers to conditions affecting the inner ear and auditory nerve, while central hearing loss accounts for damage to the central nervous system. And you don't get extra points for guessing that mixed hearing loss can be understood to be a combination of conductive and sensorineural impairments. So that only leaves functional hearing loss, which is often found to have a psychological origin.
Sound check.
So everything we've discussed thus far accounts for the site of damage. Now let's look at a little more at the anatomy of the ear. Simply understood, the anatomy of the ear is divided into 3 sections. Firstly, we have the outer ear, which has 2 segments, the wiggly bit called the auricle and the tube leading into the temporal bone called the external auditory canal. The second section, often called the middle ear, houses the malleus, incus and stapes. The middle ear is separated from the outer ear by the thin membrane known to most of us as the eardrum. The inner ear is also divided into 2 parts, the vestibular labyrinth and the cochlear, which houses thousands of hair-like cells designed to translate sound waves into electrical signals for the brain to interpret and decode as hearing. In their chapter Hearing Loss in Singers and Other Musicians, Sadeloff and McGovern write that occupational hearing loss is usually bilateral, fairly symmetrical, sensorineural hearing impairment caused by exposure to high-intensity workplace noise or music. In essence, this quote acknowledges the often loud environments that singers and musicians work and practice in. Sound levels within orchestras have been measured between 83 and 112 dB. Imagine what those levels might read like when the sound is amplified for popular culture music like pop and rock. Is it any wonder that many working musos and singers suffer from hearing loss and conditions like tinnitus? Tinnitus, generally understood, is any sound that you hear inside your head that has no external source. It's often experienced as a low hum or a very high continuous frequency. While most people experience some low-level manageable form of tinnitus, singers and musicians who have been exposed to sustained amplified sound levels run a heightened risk of tinnitus requiring medical intervention. So let's now turn our attention to prevention, which should be the aim of every singer, amateur or professional. Firstly, given that sustained increased noise levels are a significant contributor to the hearing loss, I strongly advise all singers to invest in ear protection. Now, the modern day pro level ear protectors allow the user to attenuate the level of protection anywhere from 9 to 25 decibels, but even if you can't afford the pro level protection, you should spend a few bucks on some simple foam earplugs. You can pick them up at most pharmacies or hardware stores. And secondly, consider where you're standing on the stage in relation to the speakers. Try to avoid having the front of house speaker directly behind you. Always try to sing with the foldback speakers, either using the floor or in-ear monitors. And where possible, you should also distance yourself from acoustic instruments like the drum kit or brass. Finally, give your ears periods of rest. If you start to recognize that your environment has an unrelenting loudness, try to step away from the level, giving your ears time to recover. If you want to be super attentive to your surrounding audio landscape, you can download any number of digital dB readers for your smartphone. Some even have notifications that will alert you to detection of extreme levels. Our ears are valuable assets when it comes to singing. Remember, prevention is always better than cure, so remain vigilant in the protection of your ears and they will be better able to serve you well throughout your singing career. As always, I'll be keen to hear, excuse the pun, about your experience. How is your current hearing health? Leave your comments below, offering your thoughts and suggestions for everyone here in the Voice Essentials community. And if you're not a part of our ever-growing community here at Voice Essentials, we'd love for you to subscribe for more videos about learning to sing. Learning to sing. I hope to see you again soon. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.